Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk?
Aloha and good afternoon. Today's invocation will be delivered by Representative Natalia Hussey-Burdick. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Please be seated. Thank you. I was raised a Quaker, and I still go to Honolulu Friends meetings sometimes for fellowship. A lot of people don't really know what Quakerism is. Most people only know it from the oatmeal box. It's a sect of Christianity that doesn't really believe in dogma. They don't really have pastors or preachers because they believe that of God is equally in everyone, not just some special ordained people. And no offense to the pastors in this room, you're still special in your own religion. So Quakers, when we worship, we gather in a circle around the room as equals, just sitting in silence together. In that silence, we sometimes meditate. We sometimes ponder how to solve the injustices of the world. And if anyone feels moved by the Holy Spirit to speak, they just say it out loud and the whole room holds them in the light. Many famous historic figures were Quaker. They're almost always activists, striving for peace and justice in every corner of the world. One of the most influential writers and political thought leaders of the American Revolution, Thomas Paine, was also raised Quaker. And it just happens to be his birthday today, which I did not know when I initially planned to quote him during my invocation. So I'd like to leave you with a few words from him today from his book, The Rights of Man, which resonate in me with every step I take in this building. My country is the world, and my religion is to do good. Amen.
Thank you, Representative Hussey-Burdick. Item 1, roll call. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Hashimoto, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey-Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. Lamosau, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima, Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirik, Ms. Poe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Saiki, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takeyama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, all 49 members are present.
Thank you. Item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 4th through the 7th days and approve the same as though read throughout.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the journal days 4 through 7 be approved. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Item 3, messages from the governor. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Members, introductions. Are there any introductions? Representative Ganadin.
In the gallery, I'd like to introduce my family, some of them. Andrew, Charlize, Anthony, Nogaliza, and their friend Kella. Please stand and be recognized by the House of Representatives.
Representative Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the gallery we have father of one of our colleagues, Mr. Bobby Ayu, in the gallery today, father of Micah Ayu. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
With no further introductions, let's have a recess. Will the House come to order? Reports of standing committees. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Reports number 204 through 267 as listed on pages 1 through 17, and that the accompanying House bills, as may be amended, pass second reading and be referred to their designated committees.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on StanCom Report 204? Next page, 205. 206, 207, 208. Next page, 209, 2010, 211, 212. Next page, 213, 214, 215, 216. Next
Mr.
page.
Speaker. On 215.
216.
On 215.
Going back to 215. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, I'm voting no on this bill.
So ordered.
And no, that was it. Wrong one. But yes, no.
We're on 215. Moving to 217, 218, 219, 220. Next, 220. Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. I have a reservation vote and a very, very brief comment, Mr.
So
Speaker.
ordered. Proceed.
I'm not sure how we're going to enforce this. I mean, it sounds logical. This is about having, if you charge too much on your shipping, this says you are having a deceptive practice, which is good. It's a kind of a slap on the wrist, but how do we know that the price that they're charging for shipping is too high? The second concern is, I have a lot of products I want to buy, and they say, oh, we don't ship to Alaska or Hawaii. I'm afraid this may even make it worse if we're going to say, hey, guys, if you got an extra 5 or 10 cents or $5 or $1 on it, it may cut down that service to Hawaii. We're already kind of a bit isolated because of our distance, so hopefully we can handle this gingerly. It's effective in shooting a shot across the bow, but in terms of denying our people here because of this shipping, whether it's a couple of bucks that we're going to be able to take advantage of, is fine. The intent is good. I'm not sure about the implementation or if it's going to cut some of our supply lines. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, member. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. All right, members. We are going to go to the next page. StanCom Report 221. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Moving to 222, 223, 224. Next page. 225. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No, please.
So ordered. Proceed.
This may make insurance more expensive, thus the no vote.
Thank you. Moving to 226, 227, 228. Next page, 229, 230, 231, 232. Next page, 233. Representative Perrick.
No, please.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reservations.
So ordered.
And
Proceed.
just a brief comment. I appreciate the intent and to protect our economy, but I think when we have Ag Day up there today, to think about what this could potentially do to our manufacturers, to our farmers, to our producers, I think what's important is now the time to be doing this. And there's an interesting statement made from Yuhiro Hawaii is currently experiencing high inflation and anemic economic growth. With that sobering scenario, state lawmakers have an excuse to delay enactment of a carbon tax or implement at a much lower rate in the upcoming legislative session. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving from 233 to 234. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Moving to 235, 236. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page, 237, 238. Representative Ward.
Speaker, with reservation, because
So ordered, proceed.
this creates a tire police in the office of the Attorney General. I don't think it's needed. We got to get rid of the tires, but to make the penalty as high as it is, I think some of the communities are going to be shocked about what that is. We got to get the tires off of the dump side of the road, but to make a tire police inside of the AG's office rather than, say, DLNR or the Department of Health, I think is a bit of an overkill, and the cost of government goes up, therefore the cost of living goes up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Representative Canadan.
Reservations.
So ordered. Moving to 239, Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote
So ordered.
and a brief comment.
Proceed.
I appreciate the intent and the introducer's intent of this measure, but unfortunately, I can't support a measure where we would be the only state in the entire nation that would subsidize paid sick or family leave for businesses when we don't actually even provide it for workers. Workers deserve 16 weeks of at least paid family leave. And until we can do that, and until we can even take up the measure and talk about it as a body, I can't support a measure like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Moving to 240. Next page, 241, 242, 243, 244. Next page, 245, 246. Representative Perrick.
No, please.
So ordered. Proceed.
This bill may be limiting the free market in one flavored product, whereas it's allowing the liberty of other flavored products to be purchased.
Thank you. Moving to 247, 248. Next page, 249, 250. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No, please.
So ordered. Moving to 251, 252. Representative Matsumoto.
Ruling on a potential conflict.
State your conflict.
My family owns Peterson Upland Farm, which is a chicken farm.
No conflict. Ruling stands until Sendai.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to next page, 253. 254, Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in support
Proceed.
for the sake of our colleague, we call her the hemp lady, Representative Cynthia Thielen, who used to stand here and she would just plead, listen to help, it's going to cure the soil, listen to her to say you can make 75,000 products out of it. And with her enthusiasm, finally we have arrived at this day, so with robust enthusiasm, I vote yay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving to 255, Representative Hussey Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to rule out a potential conflict.
State your conflict.
I was born at home under the expert care of a traditionally trained birth attendant, and if and when I become pregnant, I would prefer the same type of birth attendant to help me bring my child into the world.
No conflict. And ruling stands until Sendai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support.
So ordered. Proceed.
So first, I want to be very clear about the two things that this bill, HB 955, is doing. So the original version eliminated what's been known as the drop-dead date in the current law that's scheduled to make traditional birth attendance illegal on July 1st of this year. The HD1 version changes that drop-dead date to 2025, which matches the sunset date of the whole statute. At that time, we will have a sunset analysis, and we'll be back here again deciding the fate of the midwifery licensure law. So this is currently just a temporary extension so that nobody becomes illegal while we figure out the details of licensure. The second part of this bill allows all certified professional midwives, or CPMs, to be eligible for licensure because our current law only allows certain CPMs to be licensed. Both of these elements are in alignment with Oregon's midwifery law, and many other states either have similar provisions or don't regulate midwifery at all. I want to thank the Health Committee Chair for moving this bill forward and writing into the committee report, "Your committee finds that traditionally trained birth attendants of all cultures are valued and preferred by some consumers, and that the type of birth attendant utilized at a birth should be the birthing person's choice. Your committee further finds that Act 32, Session Laws of Hawaii 2019, inadvertently omitted a category of certified professional midwives who have completed the North American Registry of Midwives portfolio evaluation process." Mr. Speaker, 33 years ago, my mother intentionally chose a traditionally trained birth attendant to help her give birth to me at home in our little house in Kapa'a Street in Kailua. That birth attendant's name was Medra. She had already attended over 1,000 births before mine, and she had been practicing since long before any of these certifications or licenses ever existed. Just 2 years later, my little brother was born in the same room, in the same home, with the same birth attendant. For both of those births, Mr. Speaker, that choice that my mother made was criminal. Because just before I was born in 1989, the people in this very same square building that we stand in today, with all their good intentions, had passed a law making Medra's traditional knowledge illegal. And I'm so grateful that she was willing to care for my family anyway, because when my baby brother was born, he came out with his cord wrapped around his neck, his face was blue, and he wasn't breathing. But Medra, with her years of traditional training, gave him the breath of life. Now, my mother is highly educated, an attorney who many other attorneys and members of this room probably know from her years of advocating for women's rights. She did her research. She knew who she was choosing, and she carefully weighed those risks against the risks of an impersonal, uncomfortable hospital birth filled with the pressure of unnecessary medical interventions. She felt so strongly that she wanted a non-certified, non-medicalized birth attendant that she told me she probably would have given birth unassisted if she couldn't find a traditionally trained midwife to care for her. Unfortunately, mothers on Molokai or Lanai or the more rural areas of our neighbor islands literally don't have that luxury of choosing whether or not to go to a birth center up the street like my mother did. They don't have access to a nearby hospital. There are simply not enough licensed midwives practicing on their island. So unless this law passes, their only chance will be to either fly to Oahu for the last month of their pregnancy, give birth unassisted, which will almost certainly happen if it's premature before they have that chance to fly, or illegally enlist the services of the traditionally trained birth attendants who have been serving their communities for decades. Mr. Speaker, I encourage everyone in this room to go on YouTube and watch the Health Committee hearing from last Friday, February 3rd, and read all the testimony on HB 955. In my 6 years of working here, I have never seen so much overwhelming support on any other bill. 1,231 people took time out of their day to give passionate, moving testimonies in support. Only 39 opposed, but the vast majority of that opposition made comments indicating they actually support the bill's intent by stating things like, "I oppose this bill because I should be allowed to choose my traditional birth attendant." In comparison, Mr. Speaker, Death with Dignity had between 800 to 900 testimonies, and they were very mixed in terms of support. I'm sure you'll remember that members of the medical community—
Hold on, Representative Kobayashi.
I yield my time.
Thank you. Representative Hasi Burdick, go on.
I'm sure you'll remember that with Death with Dignity, members of the medical community stood on both sides of that issue, as they do now with this bill. The only bill I've been able to find that had more testimony was same-sex marriage, but again, those were very mixed in terms of support. Mr. Speaker, in both of those instances, this body was brave enough to pass laws that gave people the right to make decisions about their own lives. And that's all I ask of you again today. Mahalo.
Thank you. All right. Representative Martin.
Thank you. I'm registering a no vote and with
So
brief
ordered.
comments.
Proceed.
I understand this is a work in progress, and I appreciate the efforts of the health chair to address the issue. The reason for my no vote is that I think that everybody should be licensed when providing this kind of very important health care, and that standards should be met. And I understand that 3 years ago, when the deadline was given, that was a time period to resolve some of the issues and agree on a path forward. And I'd hate to just keep kicking the can down the road while people are still practicing taking money for a service in our state without any set of standards. I lived in my mid-20s. I worked in Guatemala. I ran a child and infant nutrition program. And there, in very traditional Mayan villages, almost everybody was attended by traditional midwives with no particular certification. The only people that were not were the people that could afford to go to the hospital. We did have relatively high maternal mortality, and I saw the consequences of that among the children that I cared for when they were orphaned. So anyways, I believe that everybody probably has the talents and skills and ability to learn to become licensed, but we should have that standard in our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Pierre.
In support.
So ordered. Proceed.
My mom had 4 home births. My sister had 4 home births. Based on experience and in observation, I support.
Thank you. All right, members. Representative Garcia.
In support.
Proceed.
I rarely say this, but my body, my choice.
Representative Mato.
In support. Choice should be absolute.
Thank you. Representative Tam.
Please register reservations for me.
So ordered. All right, members, we're going to move on to STANCOM Report 256, 257, 258, 259, next page, 260, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Moving to 261, 262, 263, next page, 264, 265, 266, 267. Members, I will be calling a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Items 6, introductions of resolutions. Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Mr. Speaker, there are no resolutions for action. May all others be referred to print.
So ordered. Item 7, members, are there any announcements? Representative Mizuno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Ward and myself, we'd like to invite our colleagues to fellowship luncheon today. After this floor session, it will be in room 423. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No further announcements. Motion to adjourn, Representative Marakawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.